I like sharing my opinions, and I feel like I have very strong opinions that people agree with. And yeah, so we're really getting into a controversial topic today. Um, I have notes, so I'm looking down because I am prepared. We're going to be talking about the myth of roller skating coming back and how, I hate to say it, but white girls ain't shit. And how all of this comes back to racism and not something very minor like jealousy or hate, because that always gets thrown around when black people talk about their lack of rights, um, and their lack of resources. It comes into you need to work harder, you could be jealous, blah blah blah. So I'm just gonna talk about how that shit ain't true, and let's get into it. So a lot of brands, a lot of roller skating brands specifically who are trying to sell roller skates, are talking about how roller skating it's a new trend that's happening. And let's talk about how, yeah, I got my first pair of adult skates during COVID in April, and I know a lot of people who have, and I know a lot of my friends who have become amazing skaters through the spring and summer, coming into the fall, because of COVID, and because of a need for a outlet. And that's honestly, I guess I'm going to speak my truth, because the amount of skaters that I know who have told me that skating has really helped them through the pandemic, um, through the, like, riding in America and stuff like that, with the community that skating brings and stuff like that. And um, maybe that is because I, from the outset, created my skating account at They Skate, also on OnlyFans if you want to see me more naked. But I created that to find queer, black, trans skaters. You know what I mean? That's like, who I am. That's who I like to be around. That's who I relate to. And so I found these people, and then I found Seattle Skates, started skating with them in person, and it's like the sense of community from skating is absolutely amazing and stunning. And so that all circles back into how skating as a as in the popular culture or whatever, and in popular white culture, has declined. It has declined from the past, like, probably its heydays in like the 60s, 70s, and then kind of like skating really just declined. And white people weren't skating anymore. And people love to say, well, white people invented skates. It's like, okay, but who was skating consistently in America for an extended period of time? Black people, black skaters, black roller rinks. And if you're not black or whatever, or maybe don't have never been around a black like skating culture, or maybe you're a black person and your family didn't skate, or that was not something your family did, you, like, white people might not be able to understand the immense, I don't know, sense of community, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, skating, for me, skating cannot be without community. And I think some of that adds to the rink culture. Black skating rinks kept skating alive, kept dance skating evolving, and it's amazing. It's its own style of skating by itself. You can tell what sort of skater has, consistently skated in rinks or has been around other rink skaters and stuff like that. And you can just tell by the way that they skate. And that is a culture. And that is because black people are systematically oppressed in America, which makes us group together and segregate, because that is safe. You're safe in a community of like-minded people, aka other black people, because white society is actively against you and shows you that every single day. So that is basically the thing on skating. People have been skating, but I think people really do separate the act of skating and what this like what skating and skating in a community and going to the rinks and skating like with friends and stuff like that, how much skating is a social sport. It's a social thing. Going to the skating rink was a social event, you know what I mean? And a lot of the, white TikTokers and white girls specifically who got popular on TikTok or Instagram by, filming themselves skating alone, because of course it's quarantine, you're learning how to skate. I don't think they understand the cultural significance of just skating and what they're doing. I mean, it's just, so actually, let me get into my notes. Okay, let's see. Okay, taking up the space of a black person in an area whites weren't previously interested in. That's the thing. It's like now that skating is monetizable, now that skating is something that the larger society can participate in, people want to sponsor skaters, but they want to sponsor skaters that will sell skates or sell the skating experience, and it also combines with, kind of white liberalism, which I hate, but this is how this connects or whatever. The white skater and the carefree like COVID blah blah blah. It's like you're very much separating what skating in COVID-19 is like by being like, oh, we're finding fun and free and fun skating, when literally the black people I know, the people that I know that I see and I skate with constantly, it's like this is therapy. Like I am going to skate with my friends because the world is on fire and we are dying. And that is another thing. The context. So even if you say, okay, like, these mediocre white girls, they deserve a space or whatever. I'm not saying they don't deserve space. Take up the space. I'm saying acknowledge why you can even occupy this space and acknowledge what you're doing in the space. It's like the correlation between brand friendly white girl being a big skating influencer is not a mistake. It's because brand friendly white girl can sell things, and so that's why your account gets pushed and more people see your shit, is because you are not controversial and you are what this society, America, likes, which is white mediocrity. I'm sorry, and that's the thing. I think we should all be self-aware in the fact that, I started skating in April, and I am not as good as a black rink skater who has been skating for years before me. I'm not. I can greatly appreciate their talent and their work and their success and stuff like that, and I'm not that. I have only been skating for, consistently for a good 9 months or whatever the fuck, I don't know. But I skated when I was younger, and I'd go to the rinks when I was younger. And so that's why I'm saying, these white girls who first started skating and now have these huge pages, it's like, we can acknowledge that they're not that good. That doesn't mean they don't deserve space. They're not that good. But on top of them not being that good, they're actively stripping the black essence from skating, which I have an issue with, especially in these times, in these COVID-19 racially charged times. And it all comes back to the lack of resources and black people constantly not getting the resources they need to survive and thrive as a community, which, is fucked up and terrible. And so you have this situation with COVID-19 and this fascist president literally pretending that it doesn't exist. And so you have communities of black people and the people who have kept roller skating in the cultural mindset and keeping these rinks patronizing these rinks and keeping these roller skating rinks alive. You have these communities of people who are basically getting completely fucked by not only the government because of the structure of oppression that keeps resources away from black people, aka health resources. That is why in the beginning of COVID-19, it was like white people are more likely to get it, but then black people are dying at it at such a higher rate. And why is that? It's like, because of black communities, there's not as many resources, there's not as many funds, there's not as much wealth in black communities, and there's also a suppression of of funds and resources. I literally just said that. But, it's like the environmental racism. When you grow up not being healthy and not getting the health you need because you cannot, the healthcare that you need because it's not affordable to you, it's not in your area, and whatever, like all of these things are, and I think white people need to understand that as someone who is black and in America, all of these things that I'm talking about resonate. And it doesn't matter if you're in Atlanta or Detroit or, LA or whatever. Like, being black in America is a connecting force, because the way that white people treat you is basically the same all over America, and the way that the government treats you is basically the same all over America. So not only do you have people dying from COVID because, hey, we don't care about black people, literally die, it's like, okay, that sucks, and dealing with the loss of that, dealing with people who are dying and stuff, not saying that white people aren't having people killed in COVID, but it's just the proportion, you can see the statistics, it's just so terrible. But then on top of that, you have all these people disproportionately dying of COVID just because of some stupid shit that could have been controlled, fuck capitalism. You also have people being brutally attacked and murdered by the police constantly. Black Lives Matter is still happening. People are still getting fucked and killed and abused by the state, and we're seeing that, and it's like, you can't avoid it. And as a black person, it's like, okay, cool, like, not only did my whole family prepare me for living this life, not only have I lived as a black person, I know how society treats me or whatever, but now I'm getting images of brutality against black people, and I know it's because they're black. It's like, we can't pretend America's not racist or whatever. And so we're seeing all of this. And then I have to see a white girl who's not that good at skating get brand deals, And it's not about the money. It's about taking up the space. That's what it is. It's like, not acknowledging that you're taking up this space, because you are. It's like, when a culture of people who have a smaller amount of resources in the first place, create something that is culturally significant to them, and then the ruling class says, oh, we like that again, bloop, takes it and ignores any sort of like acknowledgement or recognition or part that your community, your race has played or whatever. It's insulting. It really is insulting and ugly. It's ugly. And it would be different if we lived in a post-racist society. And also, honestly, I feel like my standards aren't that high, because I'm like, literally, all you would have to do as like a famous TikTok white girl who's getting brand deals, you don't have to stop getting money. You really don't have to stop getting paper. It's just, literally, I would be okay with reposting more black people. Like, oh my God, I just ate, so I'm burping, but whatever. Reposting black people, acknowledging where jam skating moves come from or whatever, acknowledging the history of, black skaters or whatever. Thinking about skating in ways that isn't just selling product. It's so frustrating, especially because if we go back to the beginning of this conversation about the community aspect, the community in black communities, and how important that is or whatever, and how much, like, skating for me is about the freedom and the moving my body and learning from other people and being in a space that is, collaborative and fun and, carefree or whatever. And coping, like finding joy when people who are dying. Finding joy when you know that people who look like you are not going to get justice because they look like you. And with that through thought, like how that applies to your life and how people who get murdered for being black, that means you could get even murdered for being black. And it's like, these are all things that we already know. It's like ingrained in our DNA, but it's like constantly being reminded. I think people, white people, the privilege that they have is that they don't have to be reminded of this. They don't have to think about this. And that's why I'm like, you bitches are racist. Like, I'm sorry. The amount of, I actually am not sorry, because it's like sitting in ignorance is privilege, and that's just, it is what it is. And it's like not being able to acknowledge you contributing to white supremacy is privilege. And that's the thing, like these systems only sustain themselves when people contribute to them through the generations. And taking something from a culture that is oppressed by the ruling class, white people, and then, you know, changing it into something completely different and completely removing its history and its significance, I don't know, makes you racist in my eyes. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, and the thing with the black community especially is like the amount of people on my page. Shout out to Lily Skates a lot. She has said so much about this topic, and I love her. She's amazing. She's really doing the work out here. The amount of people the amount of friends I've made in this skating community, in this black skating community, the amount of times I see black skaters like lifting each other up and posting their stuff and just sharing the art of skating without, you know, the ads or whatever. Like, and here's the thing, you know, Instagram, a lot of people go on Instagram to make money, and that's fine. Like, we need money to survive, but also like capitalism sucks and we really should have a universal income at this point. But it's not about the making money. It's about the fact that you're taking the best parts of skating, which is like the community and how accessible it is. And, you know, because a lot of people who do skate, you know, and you're changing into this completely different thing. We're selling skates that are way too expensive. We're selling mediocre skates where, you know, like, batting for like brand owners who are fucked in the head. And it pisses me off because that's not what skating is about for me, I guess. It's like, that's not what it's about. It's a fun sport that, you know, you can talk to people and dance, and it's just like, it's everything. And for me personally, it's not selling shit you don't need. It's not, the culture is not consumerism. And I think that is another thing that gets me with the white skaters so much, is because of their blow up and because brands, you know, want them because they're cute and roller skaters or whatever. It's turning roller skating into this consumerism mindset when it's like, there's a lot of things in roller skating that don't need to be dictated by like the stuff that you have, the gear, the whatever. It's like, you can skate on shit skates and still have a good time. You can skate on hand-me-down skates and still have a good time. You can skate on ugly fucking skates that are so fucking disgusting and still have a good time. And so, yeah, I really don't like that. I also don't like the skating companies promoting that. I don't. I see you and I don't like it. And I also don't like after, you know, it takes black people being like, hey, y'all are racist and we're literally getting killed. You know, it is 2020. Like, this has been happening, but it's 2020. Now all of a sudden, black skaters, we have black skaters in our shit. It's like, this is all about money and fake wokeness, when it's like, if you were really woke, you would acknowledge how you are fucking with the black community and keeping this system going. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. So let's see, did I get through everything? Yeah, I think I did. So yeah, it's like putting capitalism over things that are culturally important in people's lives. I don't like that. I think that's part of white culture. Like, money is everything to them, and I don't like that. Sometimes some black people are like that, and I don't like black capitalists either. So that's basically my thing. If you cared about people, I feel like you would move differently. And these skaters aren't moving the way I think you know, they would be if they actually care about this shit they said they care about. But some of them don't even pretend to care, so props to them, I guess. Let me know if this was interesting at all, and if you disagree with me, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear. If you do agree with me, fucking timestamp what you thought I said was right, and let me know about that too, because honestly, this whole skating community, this discussion around skating, and sharing my thoughts is what I like to do. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. And yeah, definitely this 20-minute video, I'm not gonna edit it because I had a lot to say. And yeah, sub to my OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/theyskate.